Gimmick 2. Has anybody really even heard of this series? Like, I remember the NES game. Like, I just had to look this up earlier, and I swear it was called Mr. Gimmick. But apparently, when they re-released it in special edition, it's just called Gimmick Special Edition. And then this game is Gimmick 2. It's made by from seeing Sunsoft is the person who made the original Mr. Gimmick. And I'm sure most people know who Sunsoft is, but for example, they made Arrow the Acrobat, Clock Tower, Blaster Master, and the old NES Batman game. Anybody who played most of the games back in the day on NES, maybe leading into Super NES. I don't actually remember a lot of Super NES games besides Arrow the Acrobat, but a lot of you played those type of games before, I'm pretty sure. Also, Bitwave Games, who I looked up their list of games and I have never seen any of them. I think the only one I saw was familiar maybe was like Twin Cobra, and I don't even know if I even played that game, but it's the only one that's familiar to me. And then there's Clear River Games, and they did more recently the Lunar Remastered Edition, which I do need to play because I haven't played Lunar. I know a lot about it, but I haven't played it, but that's not here or there. They did the original Gimmick Special Edition, the one I was just talking about. And it's like I said, I wonder if anybody's ever heard of this series. Like, I played the Special Edition, and what that special edition is, and I'm talking about the Gimmick Special Edition, it's just a port of the original NES game. I believe it's the NES version of it, 'cause I think it may have multiple versions of it, but it seems like when I was playing it, it was like the NES version, just kind of a bit more enhanced. But it was basically a port of the original game on NES that played better, had different gimmicks to it. No, had different stuff to it that like rewind feature, easier feature, stuff like that. And I'd never heard of it before, maybe, and this is a long time ago. There was two people who did a Let's Play of Mr. Gimmick, and I watched them play it, and it seemed interesting, but I'm like, I don't really want to sit there and go try to, find the original game anywhere to play it. So I was gonna wait until maybe one day it was gonna show up on. I said like 14 years ago, so it's like maybe one day it'll show up on any of the virtual consoles, like the Wii Virtual Console, eShop, blah blah blah. It never showed up anywhere else until just suddenly one day somebody was like, "Hey, let's just remaster, if you want to call it that, remaster the first Gimmick game." And after playing it, like I said, it was challenging, but somewhat fun. Like, it was okay. It felt kind of mediocre at the most point. And I know this is, this video is about Gimmick 2, but I feel like that need to be explained because Gimmick 2 is like, it feels like as I was playing it, it was the first game, but they finally actually enhanced everything to it. Like, when you hear a game getting remade, you would look at the original NES Gimmick and then look at this, and you would think, this must be a remake of that one because it does everything better, but it's still so much like the original game. Like, it's not even like, okay, this is a sequel, so it's better because it's a sequel. I mean, I know this is a sequel, but it's not like that kind of problem of like, yeah, a sequel's supposed to be better than the original. No, it's like, this is so close, feels so close to the original game that this actually feels like a modern version of what they were trying to do in the first game. But anyway, this game doesn't really have a huge story. The original one didn't even have it. You're what is it? Yukitaro. You're like a little yokai demon green blob. If you're watching the footage, you can see what the character looks like. Like I said, if you don't, then it's just a green blob with feet and horns and a big eye. You're using Yukitaro, and you're going to basically save your family, or we'll go with that. Basically, just save your family. And that's pretty much it for the story. You're going through these dream worlds that, while they look really good and stuff like that, but there's not really a lot of story here. Like, you're playing the game and you're not told, outside of the very beginning small cutscene, you're not told anything else throughout the entire game. And which is the same problem with the original game too. It's like this is the real classic NES platformer where it's like The instruction booklet may tell you something. You read a little bit of that. That's all you're getting. You're basically here to, play the game and have fun as it is. There's not a lot of deep story to it. So we'll just go past the story part and go straight into the gameplay. And as I said, if you ever go look at the original Gimmick game and you look at this, totally different look completely. Like, this is a beautiful cell shaded art style to it that is really fluid and really good looking. Like, it is extremely impressive how good this game really looks, especially when you set it beside its original game. It's like it feels like the next step in that. Like, it just feels like had they tried to make a Super Nintendo version of Gimmick, that this would kind of be what it would look like a bit. I mean, this is a little bit higher than that, but you get the original idea. But the gameplay wise, this is a platformer, and I call it kind of like a trajectory platformer, because it's not really so much based off your jump. It's more based off of your weapon is a star, and it's a star that when you create it over your character's head, you can hit people with it, but it falls down at an angle. You're not technically throwing it, you're more like tossing it a little bit. And when you throw it, it can kill enemies, but the other thing it does is you can jump on it and you ride it. And this is what you use to get to higher platforms, to go over spikes that will kind of kill you and such like that. And that is basically how you say puzzle. It's like basically a puzzle platformer, but it's so heavy on the platforming part and not really super heavy on the puzzles as much, because the platforming actually ends up being the puzzle sometimes. Like, how do I get to this spot? Well, there's one area I could jump onto, but I can't jump far enough, so I need to use the star, bounce off the wall, stand on the star, and jump on top of the star that I just threw. And that's basically how your entire gameplay goes, is you're trying to find some way to get from one spot to another by using your star to jump. Like, I know it's a weapon as well, but most enemies die in one hit anyways. You take them out and that's it. They're never really as much an issue. Their placement is an issue. Their placement is quite the issue sometimes, that they make it really difficult for you. But combat's not really your big thing, except when you fight bosses. Your main objective here is to use your star to either bounce or hit a switch or hit a platform or do something. That's basically your big objective, is to use the star to get from one place to another. So it's definitely not like a Mario platformer. And the good thing about this, like I said, is a really pretty, really good graphic game. Like, it's beautiful, and the platforming, it's a mixed bag. It's really a mixed bag. It was fun early on when the puzzles were, and even that fact, the puzzles were simple. The puzzles were like, okay, yeah, I kind of understand that. And then we start getting later on to the game, it's like, you give me a star that can only fall and bounce a certain kind of ways. You want like pin perfect, like this star has to land on this spot, you get a jump at this very second, and you have to jump off at this very second, or you fall into a pit of spikes, or you fall off a cliff, or an enemy's going to hit you. Like, this game requires you some pinpoint accuracy that I don't think is fair, because some of the stages don't feel like they're entirely designed that way. Not saying they're designed badly, but they're just, I don't know, sometimes I don't feel like the stage lends itself very well to some of the precise platforming and the star mechanic is required. Like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as accurate to it. And that was also a problem with the original game too. Like, the original game this game doesn't really do anything new the original one doesn't. I think the only thing this one does new is you can pick up boxes and move them from one spot to another, and I think that's really about it. I think maybe there's like hidden worlds or something you go through but you're still doing other puzzles and stuff. Like, they're not hidden worlds in stages, they're hidden like kind of like doors you can go into to kind of get this bonus level to get stuff. I'll explain that bonus stuff you get later on. But yeah, other than moving the boxes, really the only new mechanic, if I remember correctly, that this game really has to it versus the old one. So it's like you're playing the original game, and the original game had that same kind of thing, but like I said, there's no other extra mechanic to this game other than you needing to ride the star and the way you throw it. They did change some of the controls of how you play the game, but there's also an option to do legacy controls, where it's like you do it in the original one. Honestly, I like the new controls. I don't really think that you really need the legacy unless you just recently played the original game and you have to have it that way, but it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, it's like this game requires a lot of platforming and requires you to know trajectory of when a star hits its corner, it's going to go like to the bottom right. It's going to only bounce this high, or it's going to bounce this high if you jump this high and throw it. That's really the main mechanic of the game, and that's how you get through everything. It's nothing but jumping puzzles with a little bit of enemies in your way to kind of make things a little extra difficult. It ends up being very frustrating. Like I said, around the end of the game, I kind of just honestly, I kind of want it to be over because your brain gets so tired of, man, I'm so sick of trying to, throw the star in this one exact spot and doing this, and I've done this about 20 different times. I'm just kind of tired of it. Like I said, it's not a bad game, but there's nothing breaking up all these puzzles outside of just more puzzles and very, very little combat. And I don't even call that really combat. You just throw the star and most enemies die in one hit. The only hard part about killing them is they're standing in a spot to where there's land around them that, hey, if you throw the star this spot or whatever, it's going to bounce over them or bounce under them or bounce around this way and never going to hit them. So, and then some of them decide they want to jump and stand in one spot. So now it's like, now you have to time it on top of hitting this certain spot. It's like, all of that just combines together, and you're just getting frustrated and tired around the end of the game. And like I said, even once you get to that point, it doesn't stop. There's still more puzzles doing these same things that it tires you out after a while. There's nothing separating it. It kinda, except the only thing that really it's not really that separates. One thing that kind of helps is this game's music is actually really good. Like the graphics are really pretty, but the music is good. You're listening to the music right now to, I believe it's called Fishy Fountain, I believe is what the song is called for the level. It probably sounds kind of familiar if you can still hear it over me or whatever, but it's made by David Wise, the person who did the Donkey Kong Country games music. And this song sounds a lot like one of the Donkey Kong Country songs. I'm trying to remember as I'm listening to it, and I keep trying to forget. I'm trying to remember which one it sounds like. It kind of sounds like Bramble Blast, if I'm not mistaken, is what it kind of sounds like, but it has like a different chime to it. And the rest of the music in this game is like that. The game is like really good. He did a really good job with this music. It sounds very Donkey Kong-ish, which is funny because if you played the NES version, the NES music kind of sounded sort of Mega Man-ish a little bit, like the classic Mega Man. So it's cool for it to sound, this kind of way. It's definitely a new sound for it. I like this music a little bit better than the NES one, not by a whole lot, but it definitely sounds pretty good. But it's not really too much else to this game. Like, I would definitely suggest to people who like a challenging platformer and don't mind stuff like trajectory of your projectile having to help you get from one place. Like, it's a really good game with a really good challenge, but you really got to be in the mindset for this kind of game because it never lets up of doing this puzzle kind of thing. Like, this is literally the entire game and it never switches it up. So if you're okay with that and you like solving, platforming puzzles like that, you're gonna love this game. If you played the original Gimmick game, you're gonna love this too, because like I said, it's what it is. This is like an advanced version of the Gimmick game that already came out before, but this feels like what they were trying to do or what they kind of wanted to do with the special edition of the original game. But like I said, it's good. To name off another thing, it's not really a mechanic, but it's something that's a little extra in the game. When I talked about it, there's these little gates and doors you can go through. Only thing you're finding there is there's little items that you can find that's supposed to help you get the secret true ending in the game. I didn't do that. I was not gonna sit there and go through all that stuff and get some of the challenges are way too frustrating. You go into those doors, and when you go through them, you will find, like I say, you'll find keys, or you'll find those items, or sometimes you'll find treasure chests that have things like, how do I put it, like hats. It has like a hat to it. You get hats, and you can change the color of the character, of Yumataro. You can change its color. And there's nothing really special to it. It's just something that you can do. it's all there is to it. It's something else you can do. So like I said, it's a little extra thing that you can get, but that's really the only extra thing in the game aside from if you want the secret ending or whatever. Like I said, I didn't get it, but the boss fights are like, I know I said the combat's not really this big special thing, but how do I put this? Like, the bosses are good. The bosses are difficult to fight, but it's for the exact same reason. It's that you're not just throwing a star at them, you have to hit them at a certain kind of angle and a certain kind of way in order for it to work. So that's really all there is to the combat. Like, I'm not really trying to, like I said, the game is good. It's just what it is ends up being the kind of issue to it of it's a puzzle platforming game more than anything else, and after a while that gets kind of frustrating to kind of go through. Like, it's really actually pretty tiring to sit there and keep platforming and throwing the star here and throwing the star there and such like that. But like I said, good graphics, really good music. It's a really cool game. I think the only biggest issue with the game aside from all that is a lot of people are probably never going to really play it, because I don't remember the gimmick game being all that like, remember anybody really ever talking about it. And then when they did the special edition to it, I don't recall anybody talking about the special edition. And then the second one came out, and I remember it being on some of the, I think it was on Nintendo Direct, whatever that showed up. I don't remember a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, I definitely need to get this and play this, because I definitely remember that, because I don't think a lot of people played it. So I don't know. I just think the issue with it is a lot of people just don't know what it is. So like, if you're interested in, like I said, if you're looking at the gameplay or whatever, or it sounds like something you want to play, like, definitely get it. It's a good game. It's just know what you're getting into. That it's definitely not a pushover game. It's definitely a game that's gonna kind of, force you to have to think a lot. But if anything, like I said, if you can play it for the music, music's actually really good for the game. Like I said, it's a good game. Not too much more I can really say about it. It's just like, if you like the puzzle part to it and the platforming, definitely play it. If you played the original, 2's really good. I mean, even if you're interested, get both of them. Get the original game, or sorry, the special edition of the original game, and then play this one, because they're good. But like I say, it's a challenge, but it's really good. I hope really more people play it so they can make a third game, because I would like to see them kind of do this again. I wouldn't even tell them to really change anything, because like I said, this is how the game plays. This is kind of like how it works, of it being the puzzle platformer. I may not be a fan of it, but like I said, I definitely wouldn't want them to change it. This is how the game works, and it works really well for it. It's just not my kind of style that I really keep up with. But yeah, that's definitely all I can really say about the game. But definitely give it a try if you can. It's fun. Music's really good. There's been another Musing About or whatever. Like I said, hopefully they do another one. If you haven't checked my other videos, I did a motif on Monster Hunter Wilds. Hope I'll be doing more of the motifs, because I think by this point I've only really done like 2, and I haven't really done much. So I'll definitely try to do a little bit more here and there. It's kind of a series that I had plans for, and I don't know, I started doing more of the Musing About reviews and anything. But yeah, before the Musing About I did before this one was on Cyber Shadow. If you're a big fan of Ninja Gaiden, not Ragebound, I haven't played that one yet, so I can't really compare it. But if you're a fan of the Ninja Gaiden trilogy, this would be a game that you definitely want to play, Cyber Shadow. But yeah, do the whole thing you usually do, like, subscribe, all that. And check out my next video whenever it comes out. Thank you.